Welcome back to the Small Business Show, where you get to hear the journey, find the challenge, and create solutions. I'm your host, Lori Brooks, and I thank you so much for joining me today. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. This week's guest is a powerhouse behind the scenes of some of the most successful business books out there. Dr. Marcia Layton Turner is the founder of the Association of Ghostwriters and has authored, co-authored, or ghostwritten nearly 80 nonfiction titles, many of which have gone on to become bestsellers. With a background in corporate communications at Kodak and advanced degrees from Temple, Michigan, and Wellesley, she brings a rare blend of business acumen and storytelling genius. If you've ever thought about writing a book to grow your brand, this is the episode you don't want to miss. Marcia, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me, Lori. I'm so excited to chat with you.
I'm excited to dive into your story and to dive into your ghostwriting and how you're helping your clients now. But before we get there, I want to rewind the clock. I want to rewind before ghostwriting even became a part of your vocab. I want to go back to the days, so say junior high or high school. Think about a time when, say, an aunt or an uncle or even a mentor may have asked you, Marcia, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was your answer to that question back then?
So I'm going to go back even a little bit before like junior high, but in elementary school, you all remember those scholastic reading days where like
Yes.
in your school in the library, the scholastic
I
books would be
love
set
it.
out and you could go
Yes.
shopping. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
I love those days. So when I was in first or second grade, I bought this cookbook, Betty Crocker cookbook. I still have it. It is dog-eared and looking a mess, but I loved to bake. So for many years as a child, if you had asked me, I would have said, "Oh, I want to own my own bakery. I want to be a baker. I love to make cakes and cookies, and I would sell them actually out on the street corner of my neighborhood." Some people have lemonade stands. Marcia had baked goods. So that's what I would have said because it was my interest. However, I've been kind of thinking about this. Parallel to my baked good empire, I was also writing and illustrating little booklets. My dad was a fine artist, and my mom was a
Mm,
freelance writer. So
nice.
I was making stories, but I really was more focused on the pictures than the stories, to be honest, because I was just enjoying the art. So I think my life headed in that direction rather than to the baked goods. I still enjoy baked goods, as you can tell, but I do I do not spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
I love it. So first of all, I am so jealous I was not one of your neighbors growing.
Yes, yes.
It was all lemonade stands for my neighborhood. I think it
Yeah.
was just lemonade stand. Nobody was nearly as creative. So kudos to you. You always had the entrepreneurial bug. You were blessed with that opportunity to watch your parents who were both entrepreneurs and who both had this ability and to follow a passion and to build a life from that passion. So that's really exciting that you were already looking at something that you were passionate about and already generating an income. You were an entrepreneur from the start. So, reality, you're right. I was incorrect. The entrepreneurial bug hit you long before somebody asked that question. You were on the journey. So, now
Right.
I guess the question is, where did that pivot come in for the journey? So, baked goods finally, we made the decision that we weren't going to go into Entenmann's and become competitors.
Well, I think it's been an evolution
Mhm.
because early on, so my dad was an artist and painting watercolors, and so his income was variable. My
Mhm.
mom ended up going back to law school in her 40s and had a traditional job. When I was in school, she was actually working at one of the schools that I went to. So she had a full-time job for much of my youth.
Mhm.
Um, so I paid attention to my dad's lifestyle. I didn't like the variable income, but I really liked the fact that he could work when he wanted to work.
Hmm.
So that was kind of in the back of my head that, wow, that would be really cool to be able to stay home. And because he was the stay-at-home parent as I was
Hmm.
growing up. Um, I think I was fascinated by money because we didn't have a ton of it. That's why we had the street side baked good sales. And then I
Right.
got a paper route when I was old enough in middle school and into high school. And I was just very curious about how people made money and how did these people who had mansions, like, how did they get that? So I
Hmm.
started studying how do you make money? And I think that's what got me onto the entrepreneurial journey.
Hmm.
But I went to a liberal arts college just to learn sort of critical thinking. I didn't go in with a plan for what I wanted to be. I was a psychology and sociology major and thought that maybe when I got out, I would be a psychologist. I just
Hmm.
enjoyed problem solving.
Hmm.
But in college, I ended up working a lot because I liked having money. I liked having the ability to buy whatever I wanted to. So I ended up applying to business school, went to business school, and in business school, that's where I realized, oh, I can write.
Hmm.
And so a little backstory, I struggled with writing in high school. I went to a very difficult college prep program in high
Hmm.
school, and I was not a good writer. I mean, I wasn't terrible, but if you had asked me then, oh, Marcia, what are you going to be grow up? Writer would not have been on the list. It would have been way down on the list. Like, I think I took one of those career prep tests, and I was going to be either a priest, a cop, or a psychologist. So of those, I kind of went into psychology. But anyway, when I was getting my MBA, I was getting A's on papers and not understanding, well, how did this happen? And that's again when I started realizing, oh, okay, I know how to set up an argument, I can write. This is interesting. So maybe I'll go into marketing. And that kind of led me down the path of learning marketing strategy and writing and getting into PR and kind of took off from there.
It's not one change. It's
Right.
not one moment. It's not one thing that shifts the journey. And the pivot isn't always, it's not a sharp angle. And that I think is something that's slightly unclear when we talk about the pivot. Sometimes people think that you're supposed to, okay, shift gears and now I'm doing this. And that's not really what happens. It
Right.
it truly is an evolution of, skill stacking upon what it is you've learned and soul searching as to what's truly driving you and what makes you happy and what it is that you're actually good at and excited about and enjoying. And when you're putting all those pieces together, then that journey evolves. And I'll tell you honestly, I think my journalism teacher would be shocked that there's a blog written by me at this point because, yeah, I was 100% told to stay away from writing too. I write books and blogs, and she'd be like, "What are you doing?" No, I told you you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Must have
Very,
missed that
very
part.
clearly. Yeah, very clearly told me I should not be doing these things in life. And it wasn't the path that I took, and much like yourself, the journey evolved into a moment where now I love writing the
Right.
blog on a regular basis. I love publishing the books. It's exciting. But I have yet to have the opportunity to truly work with a ghostwriter. I've yet to really have that experience. And I'd love to really dive into this portion of your journey where you are a ghostwriter. You have worked with many, many authors. You founded your own company. You have the ticket to success. There's this key that you've unlocked and mapped out for authors in some way, shape, or form, seeing as how many of the books that you have co-authored have gone on to become bestsellers. So I'd love to start diving into where you are today, how it is you work with your clients.
Sure. Well, I think if we could start first with what it means to work with a ghostwriter and like what it is
Mm,
and what it isn't,
yeah.
because I think some aspiring authors or people who are thinking about, how would I write a book?
Hmm.
They are resistant to working with a ghostwriter because they think that when you hire a ghostwriter, it means that um, you're going to give them direction and they're going to go away and write a book and come back and deliver it to you. Here you go, Lori, here's your book. And that's not how it is. So the resistance that I hear is from people thinking, well, no, I want it to be authentic. I want it to sound
Mhm,
like me. I want it to be my
mhm,
book. And the only way for that to happen is if I write it myself. And I say, well, no, I call myself a writing partner. Some
mhm,
ghostwriters call themselves collaborators because that's what we
mhm,
are. We're working with our clients side by side to figure out, okay, what is this book about? So this becomes the process. You know, what book do you want to write? What's the message? Who's your audience? Why are you doing this? And I always ask, like, what do you want to have happen as a result? Because those answers are going to help inform what publishing path makes the most sense for your book.
mm,
So we start there. What is the book about? Why are you writing it? And for me, then I have to decide, is this a topic that I'm interested in? Is this the kind of book that I want to work on? And I
mm,
say no a lot more than I say yes, partly for me, but partly for the client. If I know
mhm.
I am not the best memoir writer, like I really don't do memoir. So if someone comes to me and says, oh, I have a business story, but it's memoir, I'm like, probably not me.
Mhm,
So we have this conversation, and if we decide that we're a good fit, because the story is for me, I want a business story. I
mhm,
love writing case studies and white papers and really understanding what made this person or this business a
mm,
success.
mhm,
So we have the concept, then we start working through an outline. And the outline is usually where most people need the most help because they've lived these really rich lives, really
mm,
interesting lives, and they've built companies sometimes with very innovative concepts or different approaches. And there's so much there, they don't know how to like package it, or zero in on the key things,
mhm,
the buckets. And those are the chapters. So that's where I listen to their story, what they want to share, and then I try and help them divide it up into pieces. And with a business book, that's usually 10 to 15 chapters long. So I'm thinking as they're talking to me, okay, well, that, early years, that could be a
mm,
chapter. And then we're going to talk about something else, the big decision or an investor that you got. So that's me just helping them to organize it. Once it's
mhm,
organized, then the way that I work is I go from start to finish. Start with chapter one, we talk for probably 60 to 90 minutes. I'm
mhm,
asking lots of questions to understand what's the key message of this chapter.
mhm,
I go away to draft it and I come back and we go through the whole process. But the author is critical. I mean, I can't
mm,
write the book without them. That's why when
right.
people say, "Oh, I don't know if I want to work with a ghostwriter," it's like, "Well, I'm here as your partner, as your coach, kind of as a
Mhm,
tutor in a sense, to help you get everything that you want to say down on paper in an order that makes sense for the reader and that's interesting, but it's not my words, it's yours." So that was a really long answer, but that you get a sense of, the author has to be involved. It's not something that you can just dump on my desk and say, come back to me in 6 months and give me a book. Mm-mm. That's not how it works.
I agree. And I so thank you for that holistic view of the way that you work with your clients and the way that the entire ghostwriting process is truly broken down. It's not a matter of, okay, here's the idea, here's this piece. You're taking a true holistic view of your client. And then not only are you making sure to do this holistic view of your clients, but you're making sure that you're going to be passionate about the project that you're taking on to
Yep.
make sure that what comes out is true gold. So thank you for that, Marcia. I'm really excited to, kind of chat with you a little bit later because guys, you may be seeing yet another book in the future by myself
Well,
and
and
Marcia.
if I can jump in and talk about speed, because that
Yeah.
is really the key advantage that a ghostwriter
Hmm.
gives you.
Mm,
A ghostwriter allows you to kind of hand off the the heavy lift, as it were,
hmm.
to someone else so that you can keep doing your day job, the thing that you're really good at.
Right,
And you have
right.
just, a couple hours a week that you're meeting with your ghostwriter to share what it is that you want to have go in this book.
Hmm.
But you're talking about AI and I was getting a little bit nervous there, Lori. I understand why everybody loves AI. AI is
Exactly.
awesome for a
Exactly.
number of things, but please, please, please do not use it to write
There
your
you
book.
go. There you go.
And the main reason that I really caution you against using AI. Now, I know it's super fast. You could have a 50,000 word book in what, like 20 minutes. Do not do it
It won't
because
be a book. It'll be 50,000 words. Let's be honest.
I mean, it's going to be awful. I mean, when you write a book, ideally you have a book that comes out that you're proud of and that's going to
Hmm.
get you 5-star Amazon reviews, and you're
Hmm.
going to want to hand out to all your potential clients and say, "Look what
Hmm.
I did. Like this is my expertise in a book. Let
Hmm.
me show you. Let me demonstrate what I know." You won't get that with AI. The big problem, well, two big problems with AI. One is that you cannot copyright your book if you use AI. AI generated content cannot receive copyright protection. So,
Hmm.
Lori, if you wrote a book using AI and you published it, I could take that same book, slap a different title on it, and call it my own because you don't
Hmm.
have any protection whatsoever.
Right.
So, if you're using it and sharing some of your intellectual property and also combining it with AI generated stuff, you have just given me the keys to your kingdom because you
Hmm.
use AI to generate it.
Hmm.
So don't
Hmm.
do it. That's the biggest reason is
Yeah.
you're just giving away all that you know. The
Right.
second is that it's very likely that AI is going to combine the works that it was trained on. So AI was trained with millions of other books. And so when you
Hmm.
ask it a question, it's going to refer back to what it has been trained with. So you're likely to have plagiarized material, very likely to have plagiarized material if you use AI to generate your book.
Hmm.
So you could get sued and you have no defense
Hmm.
because your name is on the book. So for
Right.
those two reasons, don't. If you need speed, a ghostwriter can help you, and they can help ensure that the book is even better than you would have done yourself because they're going to ask you questions that you might not have thought were relevant. Like you asked
Hmm.
me, take me back to early days. Well, AI isn't going to ask you that question. It's not going to know that it's relevant. But your ghostwriter is going to know, oh, wait, you just said something that's really interesting. Like, let's dig into
Hmm.
that because and that could be a whole new chapter of your book that you never would have thought of,
Exactly.
but AI is not going to do that for you.
Right. Right. It's not going to actively participate
Right.
in the thought process of the creation of the book. And that
That's a
is,
really good way to put it.
a true
Yeah.
advantage of working with a ghostwriter. The AI can only do so much, but my perception of what I'm trying to create is my perception, and that's not something that AI will ever be able to do. So that I
Yes.
think is something that artists need to recognize and hold on to. AI might be great, it's wonderful, it's useful for repetitive tasks, taking them off your plate so
Yeah.
that we can implement things like the 4D strategy where you delete, delegate, dominate, and delay things that you can clear out of your schedule to save yourself time. That is where you implement AI throughout the day. You don't implement it into something that is um,
Like a
as
creative
creative a
process.
process exactly
Yeah.
as creating your book, a creative process of adding images to your blog. Do you
Right.
creative process of actually generating the content of your book is a different level altogether. So yes, you guys see me preach AI, but please know that that's not applicable to your books. And I really thought that this was a great episode to have this conversation, Marcia. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Since I have very sort of specialized, I have my own swim lane, which is like business and entrepreneurial books.
Yeah,
However, I
no
founded
worries.
and run the Association of Ghostwriters. So we have a whole hundreds of ghostwriters who have been vetted. I know that they're legit. I know that they're people. They're not scammers. They've done this before. And so we have people who write memoir. We have people who write fiction. We have people who write, health and wellness. Like I'm sure we have somebody who could be a fit for you. So just, yeah, if you go to the Association of Ghostwriters, you can check out our directory or fill out a form. So find the one that's best for you, and it may not be me. That's why I'm
Mhm.
yeah, be
But
careful. You got to pick the right one. is what I'm saying.
Definitely, definitely. But that's why I was saying they should tap in with you because I know that you have the association and you have those connections. And
Yeah.
that's truly what it's about is having the network and knowing who to connect with
Yeah.
to make the next connections. It's not necessarily always going to be that exact person. You know, there's a lot of people that I connect with through networking who are not looking for AI assistance. They're not looking for help from Lori, but Lori can help by connecting them with somebody else in my network who I know does something else. That's exactly why I do the show, because it's a gift to my network and a way for me to give back to everybody that I come in contact with and meet and people who I can't necessarily serve with what I do, but who I know I can serve with this piece of what I enjoy doing. And this is truly just, balance in a household on my end. My husband is not interested in the show. He does not like this conversation.
So you need an
We co
outlet, is kind of
there
what
you
I'm
go.
hearing. Yeah.
Exactly. We co-own the business, but this whole talking thing he could do without. So, oh goodness. So, but I'd love to know if you had the ability to say wave a magic wand and change something about ghostwriting. You work with a lot of ghostwriters as well as, writers and authors themselves, business owners and so forth. If you could change something about the industry and wave that magic wand, what do you feel like you would change?
I would get rid of scammers or make it so obvious who the scammers are. Because, Lori,
Yeah.
as you've probably seen, there are just so many scam operations,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
ghostwriting has become a target for scammers because for so long, nobody admitted that they had ghostwriting help. Like it was hush hush. It was taboo. You didn't talk about it. So people
Hmm.
didn't really know who's using a ghostwriter and who's not. Well, let me
Hmm.
tell you, like 80% of New York Times bestsellers are ghostwritten.
Hmm.
Everybody's using ghostwriters. So the scammers see this and they see opportunity. Oh, nobody's talking with each other, just like you talked about
Hmm.
networking. People are really asking. So let me set up a website that looks really legit. I'm going to put
Hmm.
covers of best-selling books and I'm going to talk about how wonderful my team of ghostwriters is.
Hmm.
And I'm going to offer it at this, you know, really enticing price, promise the world, and I'm going to make money. And they are making money, Lori, because
Hmm.
people look at it and say, "Oh, well, wow, look at all the great books that they've been involved
Hmm.
in. I read that book." Okay, well, they weren't involved in any of those books. And if you dig into the website and you look at, okay, well, who's running this company?
Hmm.
There's no information about who is behind it. That should be a red flag. There's no information about the ghostwriters, these professional, elite, best-selling ghostwriters that they're supposedly working with. No, there's no mention of them. And then they have testimonials through Trustpilot that if you click on it, it takes you to a fake Trustpilot site that says, "Oh, this is the best thing
Right.
ever." No, no,
Wow.
no. Go to the actual Trustpilot and look up the company name.
Right.
There are just so many things that once you look at a few of them, you recognize, oh, that's what they're doing. Nowadays, they are using testimonials, video testimonials on the site, but the person who's speaking says, "Oh my goodness, I used ABC ghostwriting and it was the best experience ever." But they're holding a book and they're not really showing you the cover. So it's like, "Oh, my book is just so great and I'm making so much money from it." Well, yeah. So then if you're like me,
That's a good one.
you go to Amazon and you look up the person's name to see, well, what the heck is their book? Because they're waving it
Right.
around, but I can't see it.
Right.
No, there is nobody by that name on Amazon, and there is no book that they've written.
Right. Right.
So they're getting tricky, these scammers,
Hmm.
but it's costing people a lot of money because
Hmm.
they want to write a book and they see an opportunity. Oh, I'll pay $2,000 or $5,000 to this company and I'll get this wonderfully designed, finished book in my hands in 2 months.
Hmm.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Make sure you put it on a credit card so you can get a charge back later. Because no.
Mm. It's
So
really,
that's my
really
magic wand.
sad.
Get rid of them. Because it's costing people thousands of
Yeah.
dollars. And then
Yeah.
they come to me and they say, "Hey, Marcia, I think I just got ripped off. Can you look at this
Mm.
site?" And I'll say, "Yeah, yeah, I think you did. Get your money back. And
Right.
by the way, $200 is not gonna pay for a book. I'm
No.
sorry."
No, exactly. No, and when you think about a book, it shouldn't be about it's an investment
Yeah.
in your business. It's not, you're not buying a book. We're not at Barnes and Nobles with this, guys. We're not, we're making an investment in the business. You're making an investment in your future. And if you want a book created for $200, it's probably not for your business, and you could probably create that one with AI. Okay. So
Right.
in that
That's a
respect,
Kindle
save
book.
yourself the money.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it is an investment and it's a marketing investment, at least for
Exactly.
most of my clients. I mean, my
Right.
clients are CEOs, founders, business owners,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs. They're creating a book to position themselves for new
Hmm.
opportunities
Hmm.
or to help market their company. I mean, I've had clients put together a book, send it out to their top 100 clients, and immediately get tens of thousands of dollars of work because they've demonstrated their expertise, just like I was
Hmm.
saying earlier. It's a package, but you're not going to do that for a few $1,000s and come up with a product that you're happy with
Yeah.
and that's going to elevate your brand. And
Hmm.
it's what it should do is elevate your brand.
Definitely. Because you can definitely put out a book that'll just diminish it and not
Right.
help you out at all.
Right.
And I've done that. Hello, speaking from experience, guys. Been there, done that. You can waste your time doing that. Or you can tap in with somebody who not only has the knowledge and the experience, but has the network to assist you.
Yeah.
So think it through. Make sure if you're thinking at all about publishing a book to help your brand, to help your business, that you think twice about doing it on your own, that you think twice about, the AI path in any way, shape, or form. And I'm harping on that because of the simple fact that that is what I do. And I want people to be really, really clear. We're not, nobody's telling you to use AI to write your book.
Right.
Use AI to help you save time in your life so you have that time to work with your ghostwriter on your book, people. Let's get it together. Save the time. Then you can make the time to work with your ghostwriter.
But it doesn't even have to be a ghostwriter, quite frankly. Like I
Right,
use AI sometimes when I get stuck on headers or chapter titles. Like I use
right,
it for
right.
little tasks.
Exactly.
But there are other ways. If you want to write a book and you don't have the time, most of my clients, they could write it. Like people who are thinking about writing a book, they're articulate, they have great ideas. They just generally don't want to because they don't enjoy the process. Not everybody
Mhm.
likes to write. Totally get it. I don't like to garden. It's okay. But you don't have to hire a ghostwriter. It's not like an all or nothing. There are other
Mhm.
things you could do. You could write a draft. We call it a first draft, a bad first draft. And then you could hand it over to a developmental editor who's going to go through it and help you restructure it and fix it and
Mhm.
make it better.
Mhm.
A developmental editor or even any kind of editor is going to just help you polish what you've put
Mhm.
together. You
Mhm.
could dictate it, get a transcript, start from there. You could hire a book coach who's going to work with you to help you figure out what needs to go on the page. They're not going to do
Mhm.
any of the writing, but they're going to help you and give you feedback. So there are lots of different roles that a helper could have
Mhm.
in getting your book out. It doesn't have to be a ghostwriter. A ghostwriter is the most efficient, I think. But yeah, editor, coach. There's probably somebody else I'm thinking of or that I'm missing. But yeah, yeah, figure out what's stopping you. What's going
Okay.
to help you get started in your book? If
Mhm.
it's you need somebody interviewing you, okay, well that's not a ghostwriter. You could find like a freelance writer to interview
Mhm.
you to help you get the words out on a Zoom call and then get it
Mhm.
transcribed. You could just yeah, figure out what you need, and then I'm sure there's somebody in the editorial space that could help
Mhm.
you, even if it's not a ghostwriter. If it's a ghostwriter, I'm happy to help, but I just want to say it doesn't have to be a ghostwriter.
Right, right. Well, I would love to know if, in fact, I've been asking this audience for like a decade to build a time machine, and we haven't gotten there. We will one day. Marcia,
Yes,
we'll be
I am
there one day.
certain.
will be there. And when we do, I'd love to know if you had the time machine and could go back in time and tell yourself just one thing. Say, back when you were doing the bake stands instead of lemonade. If you could have told yourself one thing about the journey back then, what do you feel like that would be?
I don't doubt yourself so much, I guess.
Mm, that's a
I
good
don't
one.
know. I am so fortunate. I had a great childhood, great parents, great education. I have many, many things, um, advantages that I've gained
Mhm.
because of how I was raised, the people in my neighborhood that, I'm still friends with.
Aw.
Um, but I think sometimes I did doubt myself and generally corrected myself
Mm.
too, but like again, thinking that I could be a writer. I think as a young child, I probably thought that's crazy talk, Marcia. Could you struggle with writing? And so I guess that's a message that if anybody is out there thinking, "Oh, I'm really bad at this, so
Mhm.
I like it, but I'm really bad at it, so I'm not going to invest any time in getting better." If
Mm.
that's what you really enjoy doing, you can get there. And I am a case in point because I was not a great writer. I was an okay writer, but now I make my living, a very good living as a writer because I kept at it. I really tried to get better. I put a lot of time and energy. I've read tons of books. I've taken courses. And so whatever that is that you want to do, you can get there as long as you're willing to put in the time and the effort.
You know, you just brought up a secret for this episode, Marcia. This is an
A
outstanding
secret.
episode.
Ooh,
Because I don't often share secrets on the show, but
okay.
anybody who's watching gets this secret at the end of this episode, thanks to that share. So believe it or not, that's what this show is, you guys.
Mm,
This is my journey to public speaking, to
wow.
pushing myself to get in front of the camera,
Yeah.
pushing myself to be on the mic, pushing myself to be in front of any audience. Right now, you guys are technically imaginary because I don't have to see anybody when I'm doing the show except for my guests. And that makes it a conversation. And that makes it easy for me because I get to enjoy hearing the journey and I get to enjoy sharing these stories. But honestly, guys, this is exactly what she's talking about. It's me being scared to death of an audience. I have yet to go live on social media. Still haven't gotten there. I'll get there one day.
Yep, you will.
But this is exactly that. So, for those of you who are watching, if you enjoy doing something, regardless of how scared you might be, regardless of how good you might think you are at it, if you look at my early episodes, people, for real, I don't. I'm going to be honest. I just don't. That's all there's to it. I
You don't need to
refuse
go
to.
back there.
You don't
No.
need to go there. But I leave them up for your sake, guys, because exactly what you were saying, Marcia. If you put the hours in, if you keep at it, you'll get there.
Yep.
Now, haven't gone live yet. We'll get there one day. But getting there, and that's the point. Just put the hours in. Keep trying. Stop doubting yourself. That is gold, Marcia. So thank you for sharing that secret. You have been amazing, and I so enjoyed this conversation. Please share the best way for our viewers to find you.
Sure. Well, a couple ways. One is if they want to chat with me specifically, my website is my name, marcialaytonturner.com. If you are worried that you just got scammed, send me an email. I'm happy to check out the website and give you my 2 cents. It's just an opinion. If you're looking for a ghostwriter or want to just see what kinds of people are out there that do what I do, you could go to the Association of Ghostwriters.org. As I said, there's a directory there. You can search it based on location or type of book or anything like that to see if you can find your best writing partner.
I will be sure to include all of the links in the show notes page. Marcia, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Lori. It's been great.